first day.
Please.
Can you talk a little bit about just getting back after last season?
That's good. I mean, I think the guys are all in very good moods, even after the running portion. Let's see what they're like in, May and June before the World Cup, and then afterwards, let's see. But right now, they're all excited to be back, and a couple of new faces. Some guys returning from injury. I know you guys interviewed Paul. It was good to see him back out on the grass, and overall good spirits.
Do you immediately move, or how did you kind of move on from the way that last season ended?
In my pregame meeting before we got out on the field, I certainly had a couple of slides of that loss. What could we learn? The idea of making sure that they really understand the importance of home field advantage in that first round of 3. I think that came and caught us a little bit. We talked about the defending a little bit with letting in a few more goals, especially on set pieces. We talked about some new ideas that we want to formulate to try and evolve the team attacking wise. Remember, we had last year Jordan and Masoski on the field at the same time. So kind of just in general, I brought it up a couple times because it doesn't sit well with me, and we have to learn from it.
Brian, how much has that messaging first day changed over the years for you?
It's changed. This year, if you want to know, I'll give you a little bit of insight. It was more about making sure that, last year they were such a together team. Christian had said that was the tightest group that we had in a really long time. The signings that came or weren't going to come, or Obed leaving, not leaving, all of the kind of uncertainty with the group. I reminded them of their strength. And then I added a layer onto that about just, doing a better job of maybe holding each other accountable. Because I think that's one area we can evolve and be a little bit better at. When I look back over the years, you had leaders on the field, Zach Scott, Clint and those guys led by example. You had Ozzy was a good leader. Roman Torres was a good leader. Nico was a good captain and leader, vocal. And as we start to go, and Steph, where's he at? Where's Christian coming maybe in a wave here? I keep putting pressure on Jackson a little bit. What is Hassani going to bring? So just making sure that we try and change the message a little bit to keep pushing the team forward.
What's your ramp up look like in the next couple of weeks before you leave?
Well, it's 1 week, Maz. We're going to leave next Sunday. We're going to go to Portugal for a week of fitness training, culminating with the game there, and then 3 games in Spain.
What do you feel like Hassani Dotson brings to your midfield, and what are your thoughts on that move?
A good move. Very good move. Very happy about that. Local kid, tough competitor. The competition in that midfield area is going to be really, really intense, and I think it's great.
Speaking of that midfield, Nikola Petrovic was officially put out by the team.
Yeah.
How much do you have to do with, maybe the assessment to bring him in, and what you think of his profile?
Well, his profile's good. His profile's very good. And whatever happened in Charlotte, didn't work out. The coach, him, however it was, but they paid good money for him, and he's got some talent. And so we'll bring him in here. I have another Serbian that sits next to me every morning, and the two of them are going to get along very well, and we will see what we get.
Speaking of competition, it looked like Andrew was in goal first for those drills that Tommy does. Can you talk a little bit about how you plan
There's
to handle
competition
that?
there. There's going to be open competition for that spot, and I will decide at the end of preseason how I'm going to decide what I'm going to decide and who goes first, who goes second, but it's open competition.
Was there any picking him up, Andrew, after that miss in the playoffs, or what was that kind of part like after?
No. Goalkeepers aren't supposed to score, although he was lights out and every time he trained, but it's different when you're actually taking that kick. The ones that took it the hardest were Obed and Osaze. Those were the two that you needed to do a little bit of recovery work with them.
Did you
Paul,
like that decision? Sorry.
Hmm?
Did you like the decision to make that substitution?
Meaning,
Do you look back on it? I don't know. Just,
you mean the penalty kicks?
yeah,
in general,
bringing
or-
Andrew on? Yeah.
Oh, that decision was made and could have worked out, but it didn't. I mean, Andrew made 2 saves in that sequence, so we should have gone through that.
how do you go about setting expectations for a player like Paul Arriola, who is used to playing heavy minutes, but obviously is going to be coming back from injury and goes into a crowded competition?
Expectations with Paul are just make sure you're 100% healthy. He's under contract. He's, I know he wants to play, but as always, there's no rush. Let's get his, because he was out in full today, but they're still ramping him up. I'm not so sure how many games he's going to get in preseason, maybe the last couple. That's still TBD. And then when he's up fully 100% healthy, then we'll talk about playing time and all that. But again, one of the strengths from last season that's going to carry over is that we have a deep roster. And when you have a deep roster, there's competition for playing time, and that brings the whole level of the entire group up. And he's going to fit in there because he knows the drill.
And I'm sure we've said this many times, but it does feel like there is a lot of competition for spots this year that, I kind of go down the list, and I don't know that there's a whole lot of totally set spots.
No, there's a couple that that are going to come through, but look, if you want to get right to it, I mean, Danny Masowski and Jordan, maybe Albert and Jesus, Paul and Pedro and Paul and whoever else on the right-hand side. It's Jesus, Jordan, it's whoever on the right. You've got Christian plus Obed plus Hassani plus Snyder plus Serbian. Everywhere. Jackson, Stewie's going to come. Kim Keehee, Ryan Saylor. He wasn't out here today, but he'll be pushing. Nuhu is now the captain of Cameroon. I'm very proud of him about that. But Reed looked good in training today. Paul Rothrock might end up there if we change the way we play and we're a little more attack-minded. Maybe that's a position that's still up for grabs. On the right-hand side, Kalani, Reed, Alex, Andrew, and Steph, you already talked about. There's good competition all over.
Speaking of Paul Rothrock, you've always been very good about keeping guys level-headed, right? Paul's coming back, extension raised. There was a lot of talks about Paul Rothrock and Messi, right? Do you feel like this year do you have to make sure that he's balanced?
No,
like that?
No. Paul made a decision that showed how loyal he is to this club, because he had offers from different teams for more money, and he decided to stay here because he values this club, and I appreciate that very much. That was a hard decision for him. He went back and forth, a lot of conversations, and he decided to be a Sounder. And I don't think there's any bit of me that is concerned at all about Messi versus Rothrock, because he has had to work his entire career to get to where he is. He's learned lessons along that path, so I'm not worried about that at all.
Hey Brian, speaking of decisions, Andy Rose, your assistant coach, can you talk about that and the opportunity and whatnot?
It's a loss, but Ricardo's come in, and Ricardo, you guys get to know him. He's a very humble guy, good coach. Was up in Vanny's staff, on the first team staff when Vanny Sartini was up there, and a little bit with Mark DeSantos up there. There was some change over there with the whole thing. Andy knew Mark DeSantos from Vancouver, so some interesting touch points. But look, Andy's a loss, but we as always like to wish him well. He did a great job for us, and we're gonna slide Ricardo in, and he's got a lot of experiences, international experiences. Like, you can ask him about his time at Eintracht Frankfurt. It was a good time for him, the things he learned overseas. So he's got a lot of experience, and we're looking forward to working with him.
So speaking of decision, what about Obed Vargas? So he's in a contract. His contract is going to expire. Yeah. So do you have any the fact that his contract is being negotiated or not? Does that makes you have a different plan for him or for
No.
your position?
There's no plan. I mean, I talked to Obed. He's in a contract year. We talked about making sure that that doesn't become a distraction, that he is focused on what he does on the grass. Let his agent deal with that. I'm sure some of you guys, the guy standing next to you, might have more information than me about contract situation. But as far as I'm concerned, the expectation is that as long as Obed Vargas is here at this club, he does what is best in the best interest of his teammates. That has to happen. If he becomes distracted, then I have to step in. But I have plenty of confidence in Obed that he understands that. He likes his teammates.
Just had two. When do you expect Nuhu to arrive, and is there an update?
Nuhu
on Pedro's
and
here?
nothing on Pedro. He's still quite a ways away. And both Nuhu and Georgie, I gave them a little bit of time off because they obviously were playing in the African Cup of Nations. Did very well. I was very pleased with Georgie's performance. He took some big steps forward. Obviously, we talked about Nuhu in Cameroon. Disappointing exit for them, but you know, he's shown some growth there. So we'll give them some time off, and we'll see them when we're in Portugal and Spain.
So they're not going to be here.
No.
Wait, with Ryan, is he injured or
Who?
Sailor? Sorry.
Ryan Saylor, yeah, he's got a little bit of a knee issue that we're working on, but he'll be out there later in the week.
We'll wrap it there. Thanks, guys.